Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a end of year reading wrap up. I read 41 books this year and I just wanted to talk a little bit about each one that I read, talk about what it's about and what I thought of it. So I'm just going to try to jump on into it and read off of my phone. On my Goodreads it has everything listed of what I read this year, and like picking the books like from my bookshelf, it was honestly shocking the books that I read this year. Like it does not even feel like I read it this year. Let's first talk about my stats for the year. There's a website that some people are using, but I'm not sure how to do that. So I'm just gonna do the Goodreads little stats thing that says a few things about what I've read this year. So 2023, my year in books, I read 14,035 pages and 41 books. My shortest book read was a novella. It was a Shatter Me novella. And then the longest book I read was Fourth Wing. And my average book length is 342 books, which is, you know, about average for most people. I feel like 350. My most shelved book this year was Harry Potter, and then my least shelved book was The Godparent Trap by Rachel Van Dyken. My average rating for 2023 was a 3.8, which is pretty good. I feel like that's pretty high. It's almost a 4. Highest rated on Goodreads, Fourth Wing, obviously. So yeah, that's all of the little stats that I have. Now I'm just gonna jump into the books and hope we won't be here all night because sometimes I love to talk. So I'm going to try to go from January to December, everything I read in 2023. Try to make it in order. And it's so crazy because the first books on here I didn't even think I read in 2023. Like it felt like longer ago. So the first book I have on here that it says I read in 2023 was It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. This was a sequel to It Ends With Us, and I honestly barely remember anything about this book. I remember sitting in this chair for like 4 hours and just binging this book, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. Did I think it was completely necessary? No, but I thoroughly enjoyed like getting to see these characters a little bit more. I gave this a 4 stars. I really liked it. And then the next book that I read was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney because I saw Sarah Caroli read this and absolutely love it, and so I had to pick it up. This book was crazy. It's about a husband and wife, and they have like turmoil in their marriage, so they go away to this like chapel like cabin thing in the woods, and it's like all snowy and mysterious, and then there's a lot of twists and turns and you get so confused till like the very end, and then it all makes sense. 4 stars. Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was really entertaining. Definitely kept my attention the whole time. Then everybody was talking about Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, so I picked this up. Very cute. I think I prefer YA romances over adult so far, and I like honestly the format. I feel like I can fly through them, so I really enjoy that. But I thought this was really cute. I don't really remember too much about it. I think it's like fake dating. I think it's fake dating. I don't really remember, but I really liked it. It was really entertaining. Then I was very surprised to see that I literally finished Crooked Kingdom in 2023 because I definitely read Six of Crows 2022, but I just could not get through this book. I rated it a 3 stars, honestly 2.5 maybe. Like I really didn't enjoy this. It was one of those reads that I was basically only reading the dialogue at that point. Like I just wanted to get through it. I felt like I needed to read it, so I just persevered through it even though I was not enjoying myself at all. I felt like there was way too much backstory to all the characters, and it didn't feel like we were moving along in the plot. For that time I didn't want something this like in-depth. This is the second to Six of Crows, and I don't really remember much about it. It was just a lot of character development, I felt like. So then I went on a cruise and I read / listened to The Perfect Couple. This had been sitting on my bookshelf for like a year. I think I needed to read this, and I found it on Libby as an audiobook, so I went ahead and picked it up. Basically it's a murder mystery type of book. They're about to have this wedding, and then the bridesmaid or someone, the guest at the wedding, ends up dead. Then they have to find out who did it, and it's like someone in the wedding party. Yeah, and it has like a bunch of multiple point of views, and you're like guessing the whole time like who could it be. And I really like stuff like that. I didn't think it was like, you couldn't really get super like attached to any of the characters because there wasn't really one main character, but for what it was I did really enjoy it. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I heard featured Sarah Caroli again, talking about my year of rest and relaxation. I think this might have been my first literary fiction book that I've ever picked up, and I thought it'd be like super short to get through, but honestly it was not. It dragged out so much. It's about this girl who her family dies and she just wants to sleep away a whole year and like see how she feels after that. So she just gets a bunch of medication and she tries to sleep her year away, and it's basically about what happens when she wakes up and like how she feels, the people around her, everything like that. I think there were some good quotes in it. The ending had me bawling my eyes out. I was so done with this book, and then the very end, like I still read that like last paragraph because it really got me. Like I feel like you have to read the whole thing to understand really like what it meant, but it was so good. In that aspect it was good because it was really moving and it definitely made me like think, but it felt really boring and like repetitive the rest of the time. So I gave that a 3 stars, I think, because I think the ending definitely bumped it up for me. It would have been a 2 stars. Ending bumped it up to a 3. Then I read the Shatter Me series. I'm just gonna pick them up all together and talk about them. I loved this series, and I think this was what really helped me like get into reading, because a lot of these books beforehand I wasn't like I was really loving, and then I picked this up and I was getting through them so quickly, just really enjoying it and really feeling entertained and not wanting to put it down, which was a good sign. Basically this is a dystopian series if you haven't heard of it. This girl, she can't touch people. She has powers, and if she touches somebody, bad things happen to them and everything that goes on with that situation. So I rated the first one a 3 stars, the novella a 3 stars. It's basically all 4 stars. Defy Me was a 3 stars, and then Reveal Me 3 stars, Imagine Me a 4 stars, and then the little novella was a 4 stars. So I really enjoyed this series. I think what made it like not a 5-star series for me was the fact that I think it felt like a little like stretched out and like it wasn't like planned beforehand. You know how sometimes you can tell when it's like they definitely just made this plot up on the spot because they wanted to continue it, instead of it feeling like, oh, this was meant to happen the whole time. So I really did enjoy it. It wasn't anything too special though, but I'm glad I read it because I feel like it did get me into fantasy a little bit. So in the meantime, I did read some other books. I picked up my favorite book of all time, Magnolia Parks. I'm so happy that I read this. Sarah Caroli also got me to read this year because she was loving it, and so I picked it up because I got it for Christmas, I think, last year. I picked it up and I loved it. Like right from the start, I felt so connected to these characters, and I don't even know why. Like I just felt like I got Magnolia Parks like so well, and I was loving it. Like the quotes in here are beautiful. I was immediately underlining, immediately crying about these people, like right for I remember it was like 50 pages in or something like that, or might be even less, and I for real was crying over these characters. This is amazing. Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Please read it. It's so good. It's like Gossip Girl vibes, but amazing quotes and like a toxic relationship. Not really any plot, which is funny because I don't really like when it's no plot, but I just love these characters so much. And then Daisy Hates, which honestly I think this is the most beautiful cover. Like this is so pretty to me with all the little daisies around it and everything. So this is at the same timeline as Magnolia Parks is going on, but this follows Daisy, Julian, and Christian. So Julian is her brother, and then Christian is kind of like the love interest, and they are a part of the mafia. So her brother is like the mafia leader, whatever, I think, and she kind of has to like keep them in check, and I really enjoyed it. I'm trying to do a reread because I waited so long to read any of the other books for some reason, even though I love them so much, but I just waited so long. I think because I knew that I wanted to like fully annotate it, that it made me like kind of skip over it because I knew it would take a while. So I'm gonna reread these books and then go into the rest of them so I can fully enjoy them for what they are. Oh yeah, Magnolia Parks, definitely a 5 stars. I rated this like a 4.5. Like I really did enjoy it, like a little bit less than Magnolia Parks. I also read on my Kindle Curse of the Wolf King. I'm realizing how much Sarah Crowley influences my book reads this year. I was not expecting this, but I remember she read one of those like books from that series, the Entangled with Fae series. So I had to go on a trip and I wanted to read something on my Kindle and I was in a book slump. So I ended up picking up the first book in that series, which is Curse of the Wolf King. It's by Tissania Odette and I did really enjoy it. I rated it a 3 stars. I thought it was really entertaining and like magical. So if you're looking for something like that, I definitely recommend it. I thought it was really cute, but just nothing really special, you know? I knew exactly what was gonna happen. I listened to A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. It definitely was dark. Like it felt dark. When I was reading it, I felt dark. It was like it was sunny outside, but I felt like it was raining. It's about this girl who, she's a psychiatrist, I think, and her dad ended up being arrested for murdering a bunch of girls when she was younger, and then she grew up and these same type of murders are happening again and they seem to be kind of connected to her in some way. She's trying to figure out who is this person and how am I related to it. And I really liked it. It was definitely dark. I thought it was good. I definitely didn't guess the ending, even though once I realized who it was, I was like, oh, okay. So it was good for what it was. It was entertaining. I'm glad I didn't physically read it because it wasn't anything like too special. And then I read Happy Place by Emily Henry, and I'm sure y'all have heard about this book. This follows Harriet and Wynn, I think his name is, and they go on their annual beach trip with their friends, but it's like their last one because they're selling that house and they have to kind of fake date because they haven't told anybody that they're not together anymore. Yeah, it's a good book about like friendship and relationships, I guess. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite Emily Henry book. I didn't like it as much as I feel like everybody else did, which was disappointing. I wish I had. I rated it a 4 stars. I definitely really enjoyed it. The atmosphere of it being at the lake, it's a great time to read it in the summer. Then I went on another trip. I like to bring my Kindle really on trips because it's, you know, easier to bring with me to read a book than bringing a physical book and worrying about it getting squished or whatever. I downloaded Flawless by Elsie Silver because I've heard a lot of good things about that series. I definitely binged it. It's like a small town cowboy romance. The girl, her dad is like the bull rider's manager and the girl is sent to basically babysit this man who is a little bit unhinged. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was definitely cringy at times. I wasn't like completely buying it, I guess. It just was hard to read at times, but I know people like that kind of stuff. I don't know. It just felt like very surface level read. Entertainment, but nothing too deep or emotional or anything like that. So I read it at a 3 stars, but I flew through that book. I read it like on the plane. I was very surprised how fast I read it. So in that aspect, it was good. I haven't read any of the other ones since. I don't know if I will. If I have another situation where I just want something like fun, cute, light that I know I'm not gonna like love, maybe I'll pick it up. Then I read Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. I had been wanting to read this book for a while. I know people aren't like keen on Colleen Hoover anymore, but I like that her books are short and normally pretty entertaining. So I did want to read this one because it's set at the beach and it seemed like an interesting plot. Bea, her mom dies and she is sent away to go stay with her father until she goes to college. So over the summer she's with her father and she meets this guy, what's his name? Samson. And Samson has some secrets. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I liked that it was like this like mystery kind of aspect to it in a way, and a romance, and they're set at the beach. I just like when there's more than just romance happening. There's like something else to keep me entertained than just the romance. So I read this at the beach and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 stars. I also read during that trip The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. This is my first Frida McFadden book that I've read. I haven't read another one since, I don't think, but I definitely want to read more of her books because this was super entertaining. It's about this house housemaid that gets hired. She is an ex-felon, I think, so she really can't get hired anywhere, and she's very surprised that she gets hired at this house. So she of course takes it, even though she has to stay in the attic, and the attic door locks from the outside. So if it locks from the outside, she can't get out of her room. And she quickly finds out that these people are insane. There's messes all over the place. The child, she kind of takes care of the child a little bit too, and she is wild. And then she just starts uncovering things about these people, and things get crazy. I really enjoyed this. I rated it 4 stars, but I thought it was really good. And I kind of guess like towards the end I was like picking up, but I don't know if that's kind of where I was supposed to pick up anyway. I don't know. When I'm reading thrillers, I'm not completely like set on finding out everything before I'm supposed to. I just enjoy the ride. I started my Summer I Turned Pretty binge. I have a video where I read all 3 of these books, and I really enjoyed it. Honestly, I'm gonna say something, and it's probably controversial. I feel like I enjoyed the show better than the books. The books felt like cringy, especially the first one. Like, she really did feel like a crybaby in a way, and I didn't feel as much cringed out. I know it is still cringy, but I didn't feel as much cringed out with the show as I did the books. I liked that they were really short and sweet, and it definitely gave you the summer vibes with, you know, a bit of like emotional pull to it. So it follows Belly, and she goes to this beach house every year with her mom, and her mom's best friend owns the beach house, and her 2 boys, Conrad and Jeremiah. And it's basically a love triangle type of situation mixed with loss and grief and sadness. But yeah, it definitely does have the element of like growing up. Like, I definitely could see her growth through these books, so that's positive. I rated the first one a 3 stars, the second one a 4 stars, and the third one a 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I read them. Then I read the infamous Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I do have the second book. I got it for Christmas, Iron Flame, so hopefully I'll be reading that at some point this year. I'm not super eager to get to it because I wasn't like the happiest with this book as some people were. I know some people loved this book, and I did really enjoy it. I wasn't obsessed with it, and it did feel kind of like a drag to get through. Clearly this was my longest book of the year, so I guess maybe that had something to do with it, that I was like, oh wow, this is kind of long. But yeah, it is about Violet Sorengale. So this is Violet, and she is like the scrawny little girl, and she was supposed to be a scribe, and she wants to get sent into the scribe quadrant and learn, like, go to that sector and learn about like map making and stuff like that, I think. But instead, her mother, who is like the head of this everything, the president of this school or whatever, and she sends her to be a writer. So she has to go to the writer's quadrant, and it's very dangerous, and she's not prepared for it because she's been learning scribe things her whole life instead of training to be this writer, which writer is a dragon rider. So yeah, she goes there and she meets Xaden. And that's the best part of it. That's the best part of it, Xaden. They are going through the course of becoming a dragon rider, and people are dying. There's that kind of thing happening where you're allowed to kill people basically in this thing, and it's competing and stuff like that. So I liked it. There's a plot twist, so I'm excited to see where the second one goes. I rated it a 4 stars, I think. Then I read When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This is such a cute little sweet and short book about this famous lady. She's like a famous singer or something, and she decides that she's going to go to Rome, Kentucky because that's the closest Rome, and she likes the movie Roman Holiday. She loves the Roman Holiday movie. She decides to go to the closest Rome that she can find, which is Rome, Kentucky. She meets this guy because her car breaks down, and then she meets this guy Noah, and she has to stay with Noah until her car gets fixed, and it's kind of like a grumpy sunshine type of trope. Small town. Really good. Really cute. I liked it. I rated it a 4 stars. Then I read on my, this was another trip I took. So I went to New York and we drove there, which is like a 15 hour trip, I think. So I finished When in Rome, and then I read The Last Word on my Kindle. I just downloaded it because I had heard really good things about it, and I really did enjoy that book. It was definitely kept me on my toes. It is about this girl who leaves a 1-star review on her, basically like Goodreads or something, but she leaves a 1-star review on this book that she just really did not like, and she comments that she really does not like this book, and the author gives her the chance to take back this comment. She's like, no, that's how I felt about it. And then bad things happen to her, and she's alone in this secluded beach town that nobody else is at because it's winter time, and she has to fight for her life. So it was great. I really liked it, and there was a plot twist. I rated it a 4 stars, honestly like 4.5. I really did enjoy it. And then I read What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther, and I read The Summer of Broken Rules by her as well, and I really enjoyed it. So I was excited about this one, and this is set at a boarding school, and basically her ex-boyfriend is the jester, which is like the leader of this senior prank happening, and she has to do this senior prank with him and a couple other people late at night and not get caught while they do it, and then kind of work out their differences as being exes. I really did enjoy this book. I love YA romances. I really do. I rated it 4 stars. Nothing special, but entertaining, and that's all I could ask for it. So at this point, the only 5-star book that I had read was Magnolia Parks, and I was struggling. I think I've only read 3 5-star books this year, but one of them is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I swear Taylor Jenkins Reid does it for me every time. I've read 3 books by her. All 3 books have been 5 stars. I just really enjoy her writing. I feel like it's so wise, and like she just really makes you love the characters that you're reading about and feel like emotionally attached to them. So this follows Carrie Soto, and she has been retired from tennis, but she has to go back because she wants to reclaim her world record that someone's about to break. So she goes back, and it's basically about her and her father like training to try to win over her world record again, and it was just so good. I don't like tennis. I didn't really know anything about tennis, but when I was reading it, I was so entertained with it. And even like Carrie Soto is like completely different than I am, I feel like, in a lot of ways, but I loved her. Like I just loved reading about her. I felt so attached to her and could see so much of myself in her. That's when you know that the author has done well, when you can just feel so attached to the character and really root for them. So then it flopped because I read a 5-star, and then I picked up this book, The Godparent Trap. And it's kind of funny because this was my least shelved book for good reason, because I just wanted to get it off of my shelf too. And so I picked it up. I had a little bit of hope for it because if you know the movie Life as We Know It, that was one of my favorite movies growing up. I loved that movie. And this is the same premise. So basically, I don't remember how the relation is. One of them is the sibling of these 2 married people, and they have 2 kids together. And then the other person is like the best friend. I think the girl's the best friend of the other girl. And then the couple that's married with the 2 kids gets in a car accident, I think. And so now they have to raise their children because they are the godparents of the children. So they move into their house and try to raise these kids. And there's a lot of, you know, trying to be funny parts. I think it was supposed to be funny because they're raising these kids and the kids are kind of funny, but they're also like bickering and arguing with each other and trying to figure out how to work out their differences. I did not enjoy this book, really. I rated it a 3 stars, I think, but really it's a 2? Yeah, I rated it 2 stars. It just wasn't my time. It wasn't anything that was really wrong with it. I think I just did not care at all. Like it was too similar to the movie that I was like, I don't want to read about this and spend hours reading this when I know exactly what happens because I've watched the movie 100 times. So maybe if you haven't watched the movie, you'd like this, because I did enjoy it a little bit, but by the end I was for real like reading like 5 words on each page and just seeing what will happen. I don't remember anything about it. So then I read Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, and I really did enjoy this book. I still have to finish the series, but so far I'm enjoying it. This follows Stevie Bell, and she's really into murder mystery, like true crime podcasts and stuff like that, and she goes to the Ellingham Academy because she wants to solve the crime that happened years ago. She goes there and tries to find out what happened, but then things start happening again, and then she has to figure out what's going on with that. So far so good. So I read the first one, and then I also read the second one, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I rated this one a 3 stars, this one a 4 stars, I think. I have one more book to go. Don't know when I'm gonna read that. Then I read my most shelved book, which is Harry Potter. So Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which if y'all don't know, little fun fact, the UK version of it or something like that, I think it's the UK version of it, is not even called the Sorcerer's Stone, it's called the Philosopher's Stone. Who would have thought? Not me. I did not know this, but apparently this is true. Harry Potter. I'm not even gonna really explain Harry Potter because everybody knows Harry Potter, but Harry Potter, magic, Hogwarts, wizards, dragons, Voldemort. I feel like everybody knows Harry Potter, and it's so good. This was one of the best books I read this year, and I'm really enjoying reading the rest of this series. So yeah, I rated this a 4 stars because it wasn't anything groundbreaking. I honestly knew exactly what was going on in this one. I decided to reread it because, or not reread it, I haven't read it before, but I've watched all the movies because I didn't really remember much about the movies, and so I figured I would still like be pretty entertained reading them, and I know reading Harry Potter is something like I have to do, you know. I read this one and I really enjoyed it, and as I'm going on I'm remembering less and less about it because this one did feel like frame by frame I could picture the movie in my head. That's not happening as much anymore when I'm on the 4th book. So I read that one, the first one. I rated it a 4 stars, and I have also read Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which is the second one, and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. All of them 4 stars. So then it was like October time, and I read the Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling, and this is the second book. The first book is the X-Hex, but this follows Gwen, which is the girl from the X-Hex's cousin, and then the boy from the X-Hex, his brothers in this one. So it follows Gwen, and she lives in Graves Glen, Georgia, and she's a witch. So then there's Wells, who is a witch, or they call it warlock, and there's some weird stuff happening in the town where the magic lines don't feel right. So then they have to kind of like save their town kind of thing, but they have to work together to do that, and they don't really like each other. And then my last 5-star book that I read of 2023 was The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I loved this book so much. It has a little bit of magical realism in it, but not in a way that it really is like fantasy. It's just kind of like her apartment that she goes into sometimes is 7 years in the past. There's this guy there that's 7 years in the past, and he doesn't realize he's 7 years in the past, and then they form a connection, and she's like, oh, this guy is from 7 years ago. What has happened since then? Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It deals with grief a little bit because her aunt left her the apartment when she passed away. Kind of identity crises where she doesn't think she really is enjoying her job anymore, and romance. So it's amazing. It was great. I really liked it. I would definitely read this again in a heartbeat. So good, and so many good quotes throughout it. So yeah, my vocal cords are killing me at this point. I'm so tired. My vocal cords are not happy with me right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope to see more of you guys in 2024. I am definitely looking forward to making so many videos this year and trying to be more consistent with it because I have failed over and over again to be consistent with it. But yeah, I'm gonna try my best. So I hope y'all stick around, like and subscribe, and hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.